Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show. On this podcast, you'll learn from professional players, coaches, and executives from all over the world and see the court in a brand new way. And now, joining you courtside, your Gen Z host, John Hartofilis.
Great, man. What's going on?
Hey, man. Just, set up here in my house, talking to, you got the Rip Hamilton mask over here, looking good. Look like you're ready to ball.
Shouting out for it. We might get an IRL video soon. I don't know. That might be coming up pretty soon. But once it heals a little bit more, maybe. But
I want to see you balling in it, bro. Is what I want to see. I want to see you out there in the court.
That's going to be fun. But no, obviously really exciting having you on and talking about all the cool stuff you're doing, right? Anyone listening to the show or watching can just tell your personality right off the bat, right? Like you're having fun with, like, this is your thing, right? Getting on the camera and doing this stuff. So I kind of want to know, I mean, did you always have the inkling that's, I mean, obviously I'm guessing you went to sports for a while, but did you always feel like you wanted to be on camera?
Oh, yeah, dude. Announcer, actor, anything like that. That's what I wanted to do ever since I was little. Of course, as a kid, I wanted to play sports just like all of us. It was like, I want to be in the NBA. I want to be in the NFL, MLB. And then, of course, I grew to 5'8", and then I was just like, oh, okay, well, I have no choice. But I just loved being on the microphone, and that was kind of my dream as I'm holding my mic too, So ever since I was little, that's what I wanted to do, man.
No, I love it. That's an awesome touch. And like, did you, like, when you were in high school, did you like kind of get into it? Did you kind of like maybe take a little more action then, or was it something that maybe happened more in college?
Yeah, no, for sure. Even in middle school and stuff. I mean, I'd started doing some of the morning announcements and would go in and like even in elementary school I lived in Georgia for a while. So I would go in and do like the morning announcements for the school. Then in middle school, it was like, that's when I started doing theater and was doing this thing called UIL tournaments, and I would do speech competitions. So you learn like a monologue and stuff, and started practicing there. And then, yeah, when I was in high school, on top of playing like football and all my sports as well, I was doing theater, and then I was doing speech as well. And then I was like captain of the speech team, and I got to go to state in El Paso and do some poetry competitions and things like that. So that's what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to be on the microphone. I wanted to be on the camera. And what better way to combine that with sports? You know what I mean?
I love that. No, and I was asking as if like, maybe you started in high school, but to think that you were in elementary school, middle school, kind of not being afraid to get up there, that's pretty cool. I mean, did you ever have butterflies, or did that kind of just go right away? Was that a natural?
Oh, no, for sure. Early on, the butterflies were there. What I got lucky with was that my first announcing job, I was 19 years old. I was in community college in San Antonio, and I was taking an acting class, and I had to do a monologue, and the guy was like, you have a great voice. Have you ever thought about announcing? And I'm like, every day, dude. So he was like, oh, well, SeaWorld, there's a SeaWorld here in San Antonio. They're looking for an announcer for their ski show, and I'm going to send you to the auditions. So I went. There was 3 of us. It was this girl, I don't remember her name, this guy named Jorge Alvarez, who's amazing, and myself. And I ended up getting the job, and I was terrible. I was terrible my first year. I was terrified to go in front of the crowd, because every show it'd be like 300, sometimes up to 2,000 if it was like a full stadium. And I just got lucky that they stuck with me through that first year. And, I was doing 4 shows every day, 5 times a week. So I got to know how to just get comfortable in front of a crowd, and what worked and what didn't work, and everything that I feared happened at some point. So like a boat would break down, and I'd had to improvise for 6 minutes and just talk in front of a crowd, and somebody would fall like on a big thing. And, after hyping it up, like, he's the best in the business. And then he like wipes out. And I'm just like, sometimes it happens, guys. It gets a little choppy out there. And, I don't know. So a skier would fall when there's supposed to be like 3 skiers, and there'd just be 2. And it'd be like, we got Mary Kate and Ashley out there, double the trouble. It's just like, just learn how to improvise and have fun with it. So I was very fortunate to start professionally announcing at 19 years old, and just doing it in front of different crowds every day. And kind of got over those butterflies quick.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, it's not a traditional like sports story maybe, but I mean, right, you're going into something where you have this passion for speaking, and it's definitely, I mean, I'm thinking about, right, like I do the show, it's one-on-one, imagining like, 2,000 people in an arena, right, when you're 19, 20 years old, it's gotta be pretty intimidating. So I mean, obviously, right, were reps your best friend there, or maybe was it something like, did you have a mentor there that was kind of helping you through it too?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the guys that I announced with the Spurs with San Antonio is Chuck Carreau. He's the main in-arena host. He actually worked at SeaWorld, and he kind of took me under his wing from a very young age. He saw me announce, and he came up to me afterwards. And this was at the tail end of my first year, and he was like, "You're fantastic. Like, you need to keep going." And hearing someone who was a professional announcer and doing it for the Spurs at that point, he really just made me feel like, okay, I'm doing the right stuff. Because dude, that first year was rough for me. Like, I would go home and I would like cry. I would loathe doing the next day because I was so bad. I was like not getting crowd responses, and I was like a chicken with its head cut off, dude. I would like literally run around the stage just like because in my head, talking super fast and being like top energy the whole time was like, oh, I have to bring that. I didn't understand like different cadences and like, okay, now we're going to slow down and like, ladies and gentlemen, like having stuff to build on. It was just like top line, the apogee of excitement, the whole show. So reps and having a great mentor. And the other announcer I worked with there at SeaWorld, Jorge Alvarez, and he did some stuff with the WNBA and with the Spurs for a while. He was great for me and someone that was my age doing it as well. So I was fortunate to have the repetitions and the mentors.
That's huge, right? I mean, that's what's going to really drive you to become the best version of yourself doing that. I mean, like, so what did it look like for you maybe in making that jump then from doing the thing at stuff at SeaWorld to going to UT, right? And pursuing your degree there and kind of incorporating that. I mean, how did that look? What did that look like?
Yeah, I went to the University of Texas. It was my dream school, and got in there and went for broadcast journalism with a focus in sports. And I just kind of learned quickly I didn't want to do anything writing. That was the only thing, which all journalism, like I just was like, I hate this. I hate the time deadlines and I wasn't good at it. You know, some people were just so quick of like, he's living his dream from his couch, like a sports broadcaster that just does things from his home. And I couldn't come up with taglines like that. I hated deadlines. It was so bad, but I was great in the broadcast realm. You know, you could put me on camera, was comfortable. So just going to UT and doing the broadcast circuit and doing TSTV and things like that really helped out. But also I would still do SeaWorld during the summers. And I did that for about 5 years. And that eventually led me to audition for the WNBA. And that's really where things took off in the sports realm was that WNBA job.
So don't leave us on a cliff. I mean, I guess that it's the changing speeds, but what tell us about it taking off, man. How did that happen? I know it's part of your thing, but tell what happened.
Oh, so, you know, I auditioned for the WNBA and it went down to two people. It went down to Jorge Alvarez, who worked with me at SeaWorld, and myself. And they went with Jorge for the first audition. So his first 2 years, Jorge was there working for the WNBA and helping out the Spurs already. The year that they won the championship, 2014, I think, was the final year. And so I was like seeing him just like killing it. And then he went off and worked for a cruise ship. So then they were like, hey, you know, come back and audition. And that's when I got it. But once I got to the WNBA, it was just like such a great cast of people working with, and the game operations people and my manager were so supportive. The other announcers there, JC Carpenter and Rebecca Perez, they would work with me through so many different scripts. As far as just like, this is how you do it. And now there's sponsors that I have to hit. So, you know, it's these people, you know, HEB, Beach Ball Mania, and like I have to make sure how to sell that and stuff. So once I started getting there to the WNBA and having these mentors, I started noticing things on the outside realm as far as just like, oh, hey, will you announce my wedding? And hey, will you come here and do this announcing and stuff like that? That's where I was like, oh, okay, there's a career in this. It's not just me goofing off at SeaWorld and stuff. So that's what really, you know, I was like, oh man, there's a career here.
SeaWorld definitely started, but right, I mean, you took advantage of all these opportunities and were able to make it something, right? Where you're doing all, I mean, you're LinkedIn, you're going through it. I mean, you keep on going, right? Obviously, that's really awesome. And to thinking about how you took that passion and made and turn something out of that. Obviously, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, you mentioned the WNBA, but you've done stuff with the NFL before. I mean, the NCAA. I mean, what did those maybe those shorter things look like before finally getting something like what you're doing now with the Spurs?
Oh man, I'll tell you what it was. So the NCAA Final Four came to San Antonio, and I just happened to be the youngest announcer that was with because At the time, the WNBA team was all under SS&E, which is the Spurs Sports Entertainment. So under that, you had the Rampage, you had the Stars, you had the Spurs, and then you had the SAFC soccer team. So when they came, the NCAA came, they were like, we need an announcer for this Fan Fest event that we're doing. And I don't know if it was because I was the youngest one where they were like, Ray will do it. Or, the other guys are just busy working jobs, but I was like, heck yeah. So I announced for Connor Sports and Sport Court over there at their Fan Fest thing. And I was just like, dude, this is where I want to be. Like, I'm getting paid. They had a thing where they were an event where only the players showed up. So I'm in there with like, oh man, I don't even remember the teams that were there at the time, like Michigan and UCLA and Loyola, I think was that team that year, and just like getting to hang out with all these players. So that was like my first like gig where it wasn't like for a team. It was just like freelance sports work. And then through that, they were like, oh, we loved what you did here. Like, we're going to bring you back to every event. So then, I'm at the next NCAA event, and then they're flying me out to Minnesota, and I'm there, and, Atlanta and things like that. And then NFL too, man, it was just like, they had the NFL draft event in Dallas, and I just happened to, they reached out, and I was the announcer that they chose, and I went. And anytime I get in front of a crowd like that, I, make it so personable. It's not just me standing there and interviewing a player or just like talking about, oh, we're giving out free jerseys. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, John? Oh man, you got the mask like Rip Hamilton. Well, I'll tell you what, man, we don't have any hoopers here, but we got some football players here. So if you want to, get a nice jersey to match that mask, maybe, you look like a real NFL player now. Like just stuff like that. I just goof off, try to create that bond with people. But I'm also great at just knowing stats and stuff with players or their careers, because I'm a fan. I watch, how we're talking before. I'm like, what time's football start? I got to check that out tonight. So it's, like I said, knowing that stuff and creating the bond with people as well. So that's what's going to help me.
I think that's awesome because you made me smile, right? I feel like I'm a fan right now, right? Going to a game and right, like you kind of like envision that, and that right is a great feeling for a fan to have. And honestly, that's really cool that you're able to provide that and to do that for people and make that fan experience. That's you mentioned it already. That's got to be a huge part of it, is building those relationships. It goes for, relationship building is huge for whether it's the fans in the stands. It's obviously building relationships is what got you to all these different places. How important is that both when it comes to when you're doing your craft and also when you're setting yourself up to do your craft?
Yeah, no, that's the biggest part. That's what's going to set you apart. Like I said, maybe not anybody, but a professional announcer could just go up there and talk about, here's the sponsor and here's this, but it's always about creating that bond with people and it being genuine as well. Cause I'm a people person. I love meeting new people. Hey man, where are you from? Oh man. All right. I'm from Texas. I've never been out to Mississippi, but you know what? Maybe we got Eli Manning, Ole Miss here or something like that, So just trying to tie it in with what events going on. It's to me, it's the most important part, like being a genuine person, a good person, and enjoying the people that you work with, but also on the flip side of that too, being professional and being prepared. So it's like a cultivation of all those things that has helped me garner success in this career.
Oh, definitely. And then what is it like maybe preparing for these things? How early are you showing up to the arena? The night before, what kind of research are you doing? How do you make sure that you're on your A game every time you get on the mic?
Yeah. So for like games, if it's like a Texas game, I'm doing so much prep work because I'm doing Bevo Boulevard, which is like a giant tailgate that they do before the game. And we have anywhere from 25 to 40 sponsors, whether it's like AT&T, HEB, Farmers Insurance, like it's just, the list goes on and on and on. And it's my job to know, okay, what are those people giving out? Are they doing tickets? Are they doing just like t-shirts? Are they there? How are they impacting the city of Austin? Like, whether it's the horn, we got Bucky and Aaron here. Like, so the people that are there, the personnel. So that'll take me like a whole week of just preparation of just like, okay, who are the people that I need to reach with this hit? We're doing script reviews. And I have another announcer that works with me there. So her name is Valerie, and me and her will go over stuff. You know, we text throughout like, hey, okay, so if I do this part, you're going to read the script, because a lot of these things are voice of God. You know, you're not on camera. It's just your voice hearing. So she'll do okay, here's the exact read. And then I could be like, that's right. You know, Toyota's in the house. Hey, Val, didn't you need work on your car? Yeah, I actually got a Toyota and I used a coupon that they had here. And it's just like, you know, reaching out to these people and they're hearing that rather than just like, Toyota's the best in the business. Like, come visit Toyota, because that gets old. So and I'm hoping I'm answering your questions, man. I'll just ramble. So you tell me if it's like, no.
You definitely are, because I mean, it always comes back to feel that personal touch, right? Because obviously anyone can go. I mean, like we said, not anyone, but it's much easier to go up and be like, Toyota's the best in the business, or you could actually make something funny, because I will mentally mute that out. Okay, Toyota's the best in the business. I've heard that a million times. But if you make it funny and you make it something that's like a conversation, now I'm listening automatically. Now I'm actually tuned into maybe not just that, but what you say following that. I mean, like that's obviously got to be a huge part of it.
Oh yeah, dude. And but it also makes it the most fun, man. I love going up to the people that are working these events, all the brand ambassadors or the sponsorship people, and just being like, oh yeah, what's up, guys? We got Kaylee in the house here, you know, just like, and she's out here with Coca-Cola. They're giving out Coca-Cola Zero, you know, 0 calories, 0 carbs, same Coca-Cola taste, man. Like, and just doing stuff like that. Or like, you know, shouting at the DJ, like, yes, one of my favorite jams. And if we also have live music, though, on the Longhorn City Limit lawn. And it's just trying to tie it with things that are going on. And I don't know, man, it just makes it more fun because it gets mundane. But I will say, like, none of that stuff's ever gotten boring to me. Like, there's so much joy that announcing brings to me that, you know, it's always fun, and it's always a challenge, and tackling how do I do different sponsorship hits, or voice of God is, like I said earlier, is whenever you're not on camera, it's just your voice going over. It's all a different challenge, and I love it. It's fun.
Well, two things that are obvious. Number one is that you love it and that it's fun. That's anyone listening can knows that right off the bat. But number two, it's that you're thinking so fast on your feet. I mean, through this show, you're not just telling me how you do something. You're giving me 5 examples of actual ways that you actually say it. So obviously you've developed the skill of being able to do that. What's some advice? Because you obviously weren't always that good at that, because you always had that fear of, what if I don't know what to say? What's some advice you'd give to someone either just starting out or yourself going back a few years for what to say when you don't know what to say?
I mean, dude, there's so many points where I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to say, which is funny. I guess it was just be genuine. I can't tell you how many times where I've been on the mic and I'll just go blank, and I'm like, I'm supposed to say something here. It's just one of those days, guys. Hold on, it'll come to me for a second. And I could actually, this goes way back with SeaWorld, man. We had this big monologue where you go out and it's like, what's going on, guys? You know, welcome to the, you know, SeaWorld, whatever. And I went blank, and I'm just staring. And it was like on a Saturday, so it's like a full crowd of people, and I'm just staring. I'm like, I'm supposed to say something here, and I can't remember my lines, guys. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, you still not happen. No, I know it's awkward. This isn't part of the show. No, it's not really happening. Hold on. We might be here all day. And we're at the live show. Okay, I got it. We're back at and it's just like people, we're just laughing. And so I found that that's worked for me, whether, you know, it doesn't have to be a show like that, but if I'm doing a sponsorship hit, you know, I'll kind of call myself out and poke fun at myself, and people respond to that more than me being like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. So I would say just have fun with it, you know, kind of poke fun at yourself a little bit. And if you're ever talking to little kids, get down to their level, be eye level. If you're ever standing over someone or anything like that, if you're talking to a little kid, like last week we had someone who was visiting and they were just like, oh my God, they're at DKR Texas Stadium. They're looking around, and he was just so excited that the guy with the microphone came up to him, and I'm like, got down on my knee, and I'm just looking at him. Hey buddy, what's going on, man? Like, are you future Longhorn? And he's shy. And I'm like, do you want to take a picture? And he was so excited, like, to take this picture. And I was like, all right, man, well, I'm going to see you in the stadium. Okay. And like dapping him up, because you're creating memories for these people. You're their closest connection to the University of Texas. You're the face for them. I'm not anybody. You know what I mean? I'm just an announcer, but I'm representing that. That's what they're always going to remember. I'm representing Vivo Boulevard. I'm representing the Spurs for them, or, you know, wherever they're at. I'm the closest connection that they have. And so say, be genuine, talking to little kids, get down to their level, and just have fun with it, man. People always know when you're having fun.
If anyone wants to question that you do practice what you preach, because your LinkedIn cover picture is you down on one knee talking to a kid. So you're not just making this stuff up. You do this.
No, not at all, man. That was the baby races at UT. I think I'm on a basketball court. Yeah, dude. Like I just got on, I started crawling because they were crawling and none of the babies were moving. And I just start like, I'm like, he's going. Maybe not, you know, but I was just down to this level. I'm like, what's going on, buddy? What are you thinking about? And he's just staring at me, this little baby, and everybody was loving it. So yeah, man, just have fun with it, bro. Get on their level.
Definitely. The wrong thing to do would be like to make it like, oh man, what these babies are moving. What do I do? Panic mode. But you made it fun, and you got down there, and it became right. Everyone's laughing. So that's just. I mean, there's so many lessons. You could take that and apply that to anything. I mean, not just obviously announcing, but to any aspect of be genuine, have fun with it, and maybe if you look at it from that perspective, things just come a little bit easier. It's more fun. So
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Thank you. I mean, Ray, thank you so much for sharing all this stuff with us, because like I said, it's not something that's just for now. This could be applied anywhere. And it honestly, this was a fun show. I mean, you were so quick on your feet and just throwing these all out there. I had a fun time just listening to all this. Really hope I can ever go to a game and hear you on the mic, because that'll be a lot of fun.
Come out, man. If you ever want to come out to UT, I'm sure I could help you out with some basketball tickets or something, man. We'll get you out there. I'm at the football games. Those are a little bit harder. But, you know, if you come through. Are you a Texas fan? Probably not.
I mean, yeah, but now I am.
Yeah, dude, come out, dude. It's so weird because I grew up like idolized, you know, it was like Colt McCoy and Vince Young. And I knew from like when I was little, bro, I want to go to Texas. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh man, the whole world hates us. Like everyone's so mad at the Longhorns all the time. So I'm always curious.
One of the coolest hand signals was like ever. So, I mean, a couple guys from my high school ran there and stuff for track and stuff. And they would just picture them doing it. It's so cool. Like it just doesn't, nothing gets better than that. So can't hate on that when it's that, when you have something that iconic, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess someone's like, "Oh, y'all are like the Dallas Cowboys of college football." And I hate the Cowboys. Well, I live in Texas, but I'm a Packers fan. So
gotcha. Definitely, we'll definitely make that happen. But definitely want to thank you so much for doing this, because this was definitely a fun one. First time breaking out the mask. This is the debut of the mask on the show. I don't know. I mean, am I supposed to laugh this much with the mask on? I'm not sure, but I did it anyway. So it was definitely a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Yeah,
thanks for having me, man. We'll have to do it again. We'll have an update, more stuff that comes.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.